France. Today I will show you the 8th arrondissement of Paris. I'm right at the border between the 17th and the 8th arrondissement in the Boulevard Decor in the station Monceau. This is one of the most beautiful parks in the city, and I wanted to take some time to show you around not only this park but also other parts of the 8th arrondissement. Today it's a beautiful Saturday of summer. It's around 6 and we have about 27 degrees Celsius. So just let's start. This is the beautiful entrance. To my right, I have the Boulevard de Courcelles, and right there you can see that's the 17th arrondissement that I hope to show you in the near future. Meanwhile, we're gonna start exploring this beautiful park. Right at the entrance, next to the Monceau station, which is the same name of this park, Parc Monceau, you have this beautiful entry, and all of the entries in the park have this beautiful metalwork. And right in front of you, you can see this neoclassic building, and it's actually a bathroom. And have a bathroom for men and women, and I say that because many bathrooms here in France, they are only one bathroom for unisex use, and I think they use it for something else, but I'm not sure because it's more space. Let me know if you have any idea of what are the other uses for this building besides the bathroom. Anyways, a wonderful neoclassic building for bathrooms. That's something to see. The Monceau Park is very particular, and I think it's very different to other parks here in the city. The first thing is that it's right kind of in the center of the city, and it also has a very small area in comparison with other parks here. If you make the comparison with Parc de Vincennes, or for example other parks like Bois de Boulogne, then this is a very tiny one. However, it's very interesting, and I will show you why. One of the interesting things of this park is that you don't have a lot of space to do picnics, so it's really tiny. Most of people come and sit, as you can see, to read in the benches, but not necessarily to lay down. Of course, there's some spaces you can go and have your time over the grass, have a little drink, have your blanket, but it's not as a popular picnic park as any other park in the city, I would say. It is more of a relaxing area, although, of course, since it's a park that is very dense and is very well known, you won't necessarily find peaceful atmosphere, but it still is very beautiful. One of the particularities of this park is that it has a lot of, I would say, like ancient monuments, in the sense that there are monuments that make reference to all civilizations, like the Greek. And in this park, for example, you can see they have this beautiful little pond. And all around the park you find all these kind of ancient monuments, and that's very interesting. As I mentioned before, since today we're going to be exploring the 8th Arrondissement, this park is obviously located in the 8th Arrondissement, and this is a very beautiful part of the city. It's a very upscale neighborhood, and there are many hôtels particuliers, which are like all big mansions that surround this park. And the whole point is that obviously having those beautiful houses, there's the view of the park, and then there's the use of the park that you can have, of course. So again, this is another of the strange monuments that they have around here, and this is like a pyramid. So I really think it's interesting. It's certain way of dépaysement, which is like, I guess you can bring your kids here, and then they can dream about other places, and it's quite fun, I would say. So let's go under here. Right now, most of Southern Europe and Southern US are going through a terrible heat wave, and it's interesting that in Paris and the northern part of France, it's not very hot right now. I think it's even fresher than what is usually the norm in summertime. So we're around like 25 degrees, and at night it gets really cool. So that's something that I feel I'm lucky for, because actually when you have about like 45 degrees, as I have experienced in the past here in the city, it's not that fun, especially because I think this city is particularly not made for hot weather. So stay hydrated. I try to carry a little bottle of water. I take my own bottle of water from home, because actually it's not nice to be out and dehydrated. So if you see, there's all these fences around, and people still they cross the fences and they go into the lawn. You know that the fences are there in order to protect the vegetation. Most of the time, I'd say, but in this case, people just cross over it and they just take advantage of it. But as you see, there are a lot of benches, which is not always the case in parks in the city. So I'd say it's more like a seating park. But still, you can see there's people that are lying and resting. So you see, there's like all these references to Asian cultures and Middle East cultures, between others. So it's quite interesting. If you have the time, check it out. I think most of the people that come into this park are locals. That's my impression. So maybe it would be a nice discovery if you take some time to get to this part of the city. And I'm sure you come around this park very often when you visit the city, because I will tell you why. And there you go, this is one of the entries. It's not the main one, so it's not as beautiful in metalwork as the previous one that I showed you. But it's actually one of my favorites because it is so well maintained in terms of the trees and the houses that are around here. There used to be old houses, but I would say that most of them are now like organizations, you know. As usual in the US, people that are very wealthy, sometimes they die, and they leave these legs. They give this money to the city, and one of those examples is this one, which is the Cernuschi Museum. It's a very interesting one, and if I'm not wrong, I think it's free most of the year. So as you can see, it's a very beautiful neighborhood. So all these mansions were built for upper classes a couple of centuries ago, and the whole idea was that people that used to live in the Marais, where they had like big hotel particulier, they decided to change and move to this area, because actually the 8th is inside of Paris is the financial district, and I would say where it's the neighborhood where all the political, financial power of the city concentrates. And part of that is because you have the residence for the president, which is something that obviously helps. And what is fun is on this area, if you can see, most of the streets have like artist names, like Avenue Velázquez for the Spanish painter, and you also will find that there are other famous painters that have their names on these streets. So there you go. It's not as impressive as the main one, but still it's a very beautiful entry. Okay. So now we're getting out of the park. We are still in the 8th arrondissement. So I went turn right in Rue de Monceau, because actually what I want to do is that I want to walk directly to Champs-Élysées. I will try to do a part of it. I won't do it all because it's a very long avenue, and the whole point is to try to show you as much as possible. One of the particular things of this arrondissement is that it has a stunning architecture. All these big buildings that in theory were created for apartments and companies, they obviously stay here, and then they are very well kept because many of them are actually buildings for companies. This is the second arrondissement in Paris that has the least of people after the first arrondissement. And if you can see one of my videos, the first arrondissement is the one where you find the Louvre Museum. Since today is a Saturday, it's very quiet because obviously most of the people are working now. And this area also has some nightlife. There are several restaurants. Some of them are Michelin star restaurants because they're obviously catering to higher incomes. And you can find many other attractions in this park, in this quartier, like Petit Palais, Grand Palais. There's also this big square. I was trying to find the translation of the words, but this big square where they actually used to have the guillotine, and they would just sentence and kill people there, which is Place de la Concorde, and that's the largest square in the city, and it's part of this arrondissement. So we are now in Rue de Terrain, and we're crossing Rue de Lisbonne. It's interesting all the particular names of this area because many embassies are situated in this neighborhood, in this district. So you find, for example, the Canadian embassy, the American embassy, the Brazilian one. You basically find embassies for, I think, 7 of the G20 countries. So that's why I say there's a high concentration of political power in this small area of Paris. Look at how beautiful buildings are. However, I would say that buildings are fantastic, apartments are gigantic if you can afford the price, but it still is not very lively. Doesn't, in my humble opinion, doesn't have like a neighborhood vibe, although there's some parts where you can find a neighborhoody vibe, right? But in general, it's not like a place, I think, where you can have like this Parisian neighborhood experience. Let me know if you live in the 8th arrondissement, or you're visiting, or you have visited some particular place where you think you can have like a Parisian neighborhood experience. So again, look at here, how beautiful the trees. This is Avenue de Messine, and that's one of the things that I love about this place is how quiet it is. Although, if you can see, there are not a lot of commercial businesses around, like supermarkets and food stores and etc. As I have showed you in other of my videos. So right now I'm turning into Boulevard Haussmann, which is one of the most famous boulevards in Paris, and it has the name of the person that designed the actual landscape and architecture of the city. And it's funny that in this boulevard you find a lot of examples of Haussmannian architecture. So now I'm walking in Rue de Vergy, and this street should take us directly to Champs-Élysées. It's a small, well, it's a tiny street. It's full of like commerce stores, several restaurants. So it's more lively during the weekdays because they basically are doing business for people that work around here. So you would find that it's less active at this time of the week. So let's cross the street. What I found funny is that we are still Rue Vergy, and it's so quiet, and you will see how stark is the difference between this relatively quiet street and then Champs-Élysées. In this part you see there's more people coming, more tourists, but for the rest, since it's the weekday, it's there's basically no people except in the residential areas like we saw in the Monceau Park. This area of the city is very important for luxury stores and luxury shopping. So you find a lot of different brands in this part, like all the famous French and Italian brands. Unfortunately, at this time of the day, the sun is right in front of me if I'm going directly to the northwest. But I hope that you can actually see. There's so many people. Honestly, Parisians are not very keen of coming to this part of the city, and if you say anything that has to take place in this part, most of people they will say no. They would come here for work or, well, once in a while if necessary, but usually it's not a nice area. It's a very nice area. What I mean is that usually there's a lot of people, and people that live in Paris honestly try to avoid to come to this area, since most of the services are, as I said, related to business or to luxury shopping, which I don't think is something most of the people in Paris do every day, and well, tourism, of course. But it's very beautiful. It's supposed to be the most beautiful avenue in the world. What do you think? Right under the Champs-Élysées, you can find the Line 1, which is a very important line for the metro. It takes you to a lot of the attractions, including La Bastille, Saint Paul, which is Le Marais, and also Le Louvre, between others. So actually it's very well thought that you can take one line and go to many of the main attractions of the city. So you can see what I say. It's not particularly a place where you want to hang out, because it's really a lot of people. But it still is fun, it's diverse, there's people from all over. I would say Champs-Élysées, it would be basically the same vibe in a sense of the one that you could find at Piccadilly Circus in London or Times Square in New York. But it's still obviously it's a different ambiance, architecture, and yeah, but it's the sense of being a main part of the tourism industry for all of those cities. However, there's an exception. It's for a Christmas time where they just put all these amazing lights. I'd say that's a time where people really come here, because there's all these luxury stores that they put all these decorations. Like I remember once, I think it was Cartier that make like a gigantic gift box out of the beautiful Haussmann building. As you can see, there are a lot of cafes here, both sides of the street, so over there to my left and to the right, so you can see in front. But obviously they have very expensive prices, and well, I mean, what can you expect? They still get nice if you want to see people. I think that I might be getting in the wrong side of the sidewalk because it's a gigantic side, because all the people is coming this direction. But yeah, you can see at the back, it's one of my favorite monuments. It's the Arc de Triomphe, and I know that people hear about it a lot, but you're actually not prepared to see it live because it's impressive. It's so massive, and then the materials that they use to build it make it look like even more grand. And if you can see maybe a little bit, there's people at the top because you can pay and go up. I think it's free couple of days per year, but it's nice. You can go for free to the bottom of it, which has the tomb for the unknown soldier, and there's like a tunnel that you can cross the roundabout. It's totally worth it, I would say. There's people from all over the world, as you can imagine, that come right to this part of the city because they have heard so much of it, but it's worth it. And then you see over there, right there, you have something that looks like a metro entrance, but it's the entrance to Arc de Triomphe, and you can go for free and just check the bottom where I saw what I said, that you can find the unknown soldier tomb. So here we are. We finally made it. I would say that this is the most important monument in the 8th arrondissement. So I tell you, it's totally worth it to visit. You can go in the other side. As you can see, there's like a lot of people taking pictures and selfies. But it's nice. Just take your time, come and visit, and please subscribe if you like. Let me know in the comments what parts of Paris interest you, and I will try to make some videos and share with you this amazing city. Take care, and until next time.